And with that, I'd like to invite the Honorable Ngodup Tsering, the representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to come up and make a few remarks. But before that, we have a very special message from His Holiness the Dalai Lama as well. And he has a video message that he presented to this entire State Department interministerial event. So with that, I'm going to play that.
Spiritual brothers and sisters, firstly, I want to express my greetings for your meeting. I consider such meeting, I think, very relevant and very important. Firstly, still we need religious faith. And then, in order to use religious faith more effectively to society, harmony is very essential. So this conference, I feel, very, very useful. I totally committed to make contribution from my tradition. I've never tried to propagate Buddhism. I always think how much our tradition, from our tradition, can make some contribution for people, including non-believer, in order to develop inner peace. So, I think other tradition also, I hopefully, we should think more about humanity. Then the entire humanity will not become follow of one religion. Over 1,000 years, different traditions come. In the future, I think several centuries, I think different traditions will remain and will be beneficial to people. So harmony is very important. So I'm quite sure you are sort of getting there, that certainly they can make some contribution regarding religious harmony and use religious, a certain concept come from different religious tradition. So to say how to use more effectively, I usually call secularly. Here I must make clear, according to Indian understanding, secular means respect all religion and also non-believer. I think that's very realistic, as I mentioned earlier, who want believing, non-believer. These also human brothers and sisters. They also want peace of mind. They need peace of mind. So, therefore, I think the secular way to serve humanity, I feel, or I should say, realistic way. So, thank you.
I'd like to now invite the Honorable Ngodup Tsering to make a few remarks.
To everybody, namaste, good evening. First of all, I really am grateful for being given the opportunity to present a few remarks on this special occasion. And, the greatest joy for me as a Tibetan is to speak something on India, because India has been the country that Tibetan refugees, Tibetan people always consider as a second home. We always say the home away from home. And as His Holiness was always saying, wherever he travels, India is, spiritually it's our guru, and the Tibetans are the chelas, which means masters and students. And then also, because of India's generosity and the kindness, and Tibetan people there being in India for last 60 years, he always says that, I'm the longest guest of government and people of India. So, the kind of generosity and the amount of support in all walks of life to the Tibetan people by the government of India and the people of India have been so extraordinary that it's always a joy to say something on this. So, I have not been able to prepare a talk because I was busy with the ministerial also for the last 3 days. And then today also there's some reception right after, but I felt that it is my duty to speak to maybe some Americans here who do not know much about how the Tibetans are being treated by the government and people of India. So that is why I made myself with a special effort to come here. And now for the last 60 years, we've been living in India, but the story of Tibetan refugees have been, as it is widely said, a very success story. And this success story would not have been successful but for the leadership of His Holiness Dalai Lama and the support from the government and people of India. So once again, I really wanted to thank the organizer for bringing me here. And then in order to give a kind of overall perspective of His Holiness on how he thinks about India, as he said here also about the secular nature of Indian polity, he always believes, His Holiness always advocates that there is a different connotation for secular concept in the West. So that is why I always like to stress that I always want to say, whenever I say secular, that I wanted to talk about the secular in India. So where there is a religious harmony and there is a respect for all religious traditions, even non-believers as well. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama is, as all of us perhaps know, that he's the most widely traveled person right now. He has traveled so many places and for so long, and he knows the situation quite clearly everywhere. That is why when he comes to the conclusion of saying that India's secular nature is something we all should develop, so that actually is a great message in itself. And then His Holiness also believes in terms of spiritual contribution for the Tibetans. India is also a land of arhats, so the land of enlightened beings, and it has a special significance. And this significance has even grown more, since we came into exile in India, and about 100,000 Tibetans have been living in India, and we've been treated so kindly, so generously, so nicely, not for 10 years, not for 20 years, but for 60 years. So that way, not taking much of time, you can just feel, how much the government and the people of India have been kind to the Tibetans. And I worked in the Central Tibetan Administration, which the managed director said about the government in exile in India. It's true. The government of India has been so kind to the Tibetans that sometimes people think that, okay, we live a state like a state within the state, So, but then the Tibetans have been very law-abiding. But then other than that, we have set up our own establishment, and we now call it the Central Tibetan Administration, and there are 7 departments, and the executive branch, the parliament, the judiciary, but all within there and with the knowledge of the government of India. But then the very fact that we are able to exist and we are able to sustain all this is the kindness, the generosity, the depth of the trust the government and people in India have for the Tibetans. So that very much speaks about it. And I am one of the products of the Tibetan schools run by the government of India. So likewise, our president, who is later on in the Harvard educated, he was also a product of the Central Tibetan schools, which was run by the government of India. So the government of India has given us the schooling opportunities, and also the settlements. There are a lot of lands and, for agriculture purposes, and then the monasteries, which are thriving and which are flourishing. And this would not have been actually possible without the help, without the support from the government of India from all angles. And there is a Department of Religion and Culture within the Central Tibetan Administration, which looks after the monasteries. We have more than 262 monasteries in India, where 30,000 monks and nuns are studying right now. So for Buddhism, it's not because what has happened in Tibet, because Chinese have destroyed everything, and more than 6,000 monasteries were razed to the ground, and then scriptures were destroyed, the monks and nuns were disrobed. All these kind of things that happened. That was, one reason that there was sort of genocide, cultural genocide in Tibet, but we have been able to preserve it in exile, and that's mostly in India. So because of these monasteries, was for religion, anything to flourish, we must have a good environment, support from the administration, and then also the people. So it is because of their support, because of their generosity, that these monasteries have been not only preserving their tradition, but been able to promote the Tibetan Buddhism, language, and culture. So I can go on to speak how the ways of the benefits the government people of India has showered on the Tibetan people, but I think there will be now a lot of people here in the panel who will be speaking more on different things. So I would like to stop here, but I wanted to actually assure the Indian brothers and sisters who are here that wherever we are, we always, we are in the United States for the moment, but we always think about how grateful the government and people of India have been to us. So this year was also a year of gratitude for the Tibetan people, and the Central Tibetan Administration has clearly mentioned that starting from India, there should be a celebration of the kindness of your host country and communities to the Tibetan people. So in India in March, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Central Tibetan Administration presidents there celebrated the Thank You India, and we had the central ministers from Delhi, and then of course a lot of local leaders and parliamentarians, members, the ministers, they actually participated also. So again, really wanted to thank you, and so happy to see all of you, and thank you again for Jay, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name, the managing director. They've been fantastic in carrying out this great initiative. I would like to wish all of you the very best, and thank you so much. Thank you.